because he thinks his life sucks, but it's really his perspective on life sucks.
It's Rusty Diamond Motherfucker.
Yo, man. Hello, Miss Rusty. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Public Access Podcast, the podcast, here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. I'm your host, Rusty Diamond. It's episode 604 here at Pennsylvania, the state. You know how that goes. It's November 4th. Tomorrow is election day. Whatever that means. Who gives a shit? So, yeah. Anyway, so it's time for me to bring on my special guest. My special guest is right here and right now. My special guest is Ricardo Zulueta. And wasn't that a great introduction? So now I can do that, which is different. Doing that one in post. I do that at the end of the episode now, and then I put it at the front afterwards. So I remember it, but then I can kind of talk about what's going on. I had a guy come on and recommend that I change how I put the show up, because I was just putting it up as I'd hit record and then I would share the screen, and I'll go onto my Windows or movie player or whatever it is, VLC probably, play the intro and then go back and start it up and do an intro with the person there and then bring them on. And so he suggested that I do have to edit it though, because I would just upload it right then like that. And so now I, take out what I think is the best scene or whatever, and then play the intro and then do the show, and then at the end, because then it would have my commercial on there too at the beginning. And so like it was a lot, and I'm like, why these people have to sit here and listen to it, and now you get to sit here and listen to me talk for a good minute or two about this. Like, who cares about this? But yes, I mean, it's had to change, and so I've kind of liked how it is now. But so then, like, oh man, I don't know. I've had some. Now I go into the conversation. I've had some weird people. I have this one. I went on this one podcast, and guy tried to throw me off and ask me a really fucking weird question.
Really?
Yep, right off the bat. It was called the 1 Minute Podcast, and so shout out to whoever this guy is.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, yeah, I'll look you up on the internet, and I'll, find something to talk to you about from what I find when I look you up. And yeah, then he fucking he said something way different. He pretty messed up stuff, and I was like, okay, well, interesting turn of events here. And so I had to go and say something more messed up than what he said. So yeah.
It's like, this is how we're doing this. Okay.
Yep. And he didn't end up uploading my episode, because I assume the point of the show is to get people thrown off to just stop and not know really what to do. And that's the funny part of the show, which I, probably still think is funny, but I'm not the right person to do that to. Yeah, it's not going to work that way. But so with your podcast, do you do the same sort of deal with your with how you put the show together? Do you
No, I haven't
edit a bunch?
No, I mean, I haven't done it. So usually I just go live, man.
Oh, okay. Where do you go live?
Well, I haven't done it in a while, so I took a long break because I was focused on a different venture that I was doing that deals with the metaverse, tech stuff. But I really have sort of like this passion for the mental health aspect. So I have a nonprofit foundation for mental health and suicide prevention. On there, you'll find out that I lost my brother to suicide and all that stuff. But anyway, really just wanted to get back into it. It's always made me feel good to help other people, and I just keep seeing it over and over, how we're doing everything wrong, So, and now I'm getting back into doing it again. I even created a something for the nonprofit called Podcast for Prevention, and basically getting people that are podcasting about mental health, helping other people out, and help monetize and help them out, because it's very difficult to ask for money while helping other people, right? So I figured, like, I know it's very uncomfortable. Why not just do a fundraiser? And through the fundraiser, because my goal is to proactively help people anyway, and we can go out if you want more information on Start Divine, I can talk about that. But anyway, what it's about is, we're trying to be more proactive with things. And, what we're doing today, talking about mental health and stuff like that, or whatever, that's what we need more of. And so I'm willing to compensate and help that out. So I want to create anything that's impactful that podcasters are doing. Like, let me help you, help us raise funds, and we'll be able to help you grow your podcast, or at least help more people out. So,
Yeah. And I mean, that's a big thing with this show, and I was talking about this, I think last week with one of my guests, like, it's all about the conversation, and conversation needs to be happening. And that's why I like this. There's, right now where there's a big part of black and white that don't want anything to do with each other. And a lot of it is the conversation just can't even happen. And, keeping conversations going about a lot of stuff that's just, especially stuff that's more overlooked,
yeah.
as opposed to, and that's where the stories really need to be going, and the conversations need to be going and being put out into the world. It's
Mhm.
pretty important.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the podcast is very intimate, right? Because you're
Right.
listening in someone's ear, especially if they're a fan of yours. Um,
There's
they're
four.
intently listening, and so you it's for, and then you get to really get to know the person. So it sounds very personal. So when we're talking about mental health related, topics, they're like taking it all in, especially when you're listening. It's very, I don't know, you're at this like point where you're just kind of focused, not focused, but you're listening pretty intently. When it's something that touches you too, oh man, now it's really affecting you. So for me, like, well, let's amplify this, because I can't do it all on my own. And why not use other people's voices? Like, why not use their clout, their relationships with their supporters, and try to change their perspectives? Because really, that's the most important thing that we're supposed to do in mental health, is change people's perspectives. So.
Right. And I mean, one of the hard things is that everything that you hear, everything that you see, everything that you experience, your subconscious brain takes in. And like, I like watching shows with shitty characters that are just kind of pieces of shit. Um, and I think about this because, like, my brain doesn't understand that these are shitty people. It's just something my brain's taking in. So having conversations about good stuff, especially when people are listening, like, I'd rather, it's hard for me now, yeah, because I have to think about that. And now it's just, so I try to talk about more good than doing shitty stuff. But I don't know, shitty stuff's still funny to me, but it's hard. It's hard now that I know that. And I feel like, I don't want to be subconsciously putting shitty stuff into people's heads.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think
Well,
that's always a goal. I mean, to put shitty things in people's heads, I don't think anyone really plans on doing that. Obviously, people with mental health issues, yeah, that's natural to them, right? They
Right.
can't help it. They don't even know they're doing it. So they're the ones that are really doing it. I don't think people do it on purpose. Like I tell people all the time when, they're doing drugs or doing this, it's like, dude, they weren't young and said, I can't wait to be an addict, or I can't wait to be a
Right.
real asshole to someone. It's like, especially like, when people's parents and all that stuff, it's just like, they didn't have you and said, I can't wait to be a real dick to you. Like, it's just something, well, how did they grow up? How did they become that? And, I call it the puppy theory, but, you have to realize that, who you became is basically kind of like your puppies, right? People always say, like, do you think all pit bulls are bad? Like, no, I've seen some really docile ones and sweet puppies like that, right? They grow up to
Right.
be really nice puppies. They're not all bad. Now, why are some of them bad? Well, they got parented that way. They got trained that way. Well, if you're fucked up, well, I'm gonna assume you had a pretty fucked up life, like
Yeah.
right away. But you got to remember, then they blame the parents, right? But you got to remember, your parents were
Yep.
puppies too. What did they get? How did they get
Yep.
that way? So you got to think about those things.
And I feel like that's something that a lot of people go through with that. Like it's just like because it was the thing. I mean, it's the kind of the first thing you learn about in therapy of any sort. It's usually that it's like, oh yeah, like it's probably because of your parents, and then eventually you get to the point like, yeah, they were just doing what they do. Like, sure, like what they did kind of affected us, but I mean, they were doing what they're doing, and good for them.
Yes and no. I mean, so I always say you got to look for the cause. Everyone's always trying to remedy the effect or the results. In fact, we've made it even worse. The doctors, what they've done is created the result as the cause. What I mean is people are walking around going, I have depression. What do you mean? My depression is making me depressed. What does that mean? What do you mean? The depression is the result, but you've turned it into the cause, and they believe this. That's like me telling you, like, oh my God, my happiness is really making me happy today. Like, does that sound weird to you, or is that normal? Man, my envy is making me really envious. Like, that's weird. Like, so
Yeah.
it's really bad because they're looking at the results of things every time. But really, we need to look at the cause. Now, we were just talking about the parents. That you can never say the cause is a noun. A noun, it's never a noun. You can't say parents. Everyone has parents. What? Why? How come he's okay? So it's not because dad, not because parents. What was happening? And most of the time, it's what you're doing because you're how old now? Parents been gone for a minute. Like you're still holding on, huh? Still a problem. So you're beating yourself up. Got it. So what are you doing? What's the verb that is happening? So it's not, oh, my dad or whatever noun. Oh, the war. Okay, the war happened. It's done. What is happening? Because obviously the problem is current. So what is the cause? It's usually a verb. You need to look for that.
Yeah, it's so yeah, let I guess if you're listening, let it sink in for a second. But yeah, you're right. Um, yeah, yeah. Isn't that a good and follow-up question here? And then I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a really good point. Okay. Now I just
Yeah.
don't know what to say. So, you
Well,
know,
really, it's not uncommon for you to feel the way you're feeling. It's because it's something you don't typically hear. So I basically talk common sense, and I talk about prevention. Prevention, we're doing it all wrong. We're not even preventing. So when you hear suicide prevention, what you're actually hearing is suicide reaction, right? Um, you're not supposed to wait. So I talk to people all the time. Like, you know what, just to get the ball rolling for you, I'm going to tell you what start day one, like what we're doing with that. So when I lost my brother to suicide, I really learned after a while that depression, anxiety is just like happiness. They're not the cause. They're just a natural and like temporary emotional responses based on our perspectives, not actually our situations. That's why rock stars commit suicide while the homeless are the ones struggling to stay alive. Come on, guys. So everyone knows to live life to the fullest. Who the fuck doesn't? But we still complain about Mondays, traffic, weather, right? Everyone knows live life to the fullest, but tell me you don't get mad at traffic. It's just human nature to take life for granted. It's just the law of supply and demand. So the value is always affected by the amount of supply of things, sometimes we're inspired. We get more hopeful when we hear great stories, or appreciate life more when someone passes away, right? These are just like reminders. It's a sense of inspiration, but they're temporary. You're in front of motivational quotes every day. You're exposed to them, but they're meaningless unless you actually make a decision. So after talking to probably thousands of people now, I've learned that a negative perspective evolves into anxiety, depression, drug abuse, and then suicidal tendencies. The last, obviously it could be the last if you succeed. Everyone's being taught to keep waiting for symptoms of depression or anxiety. And we're being told that people are depressed because they have depression, even though it doesn't make any sense, like I said before, that people are happy because they have happiness. It's impossible to prevent problems without being proactive. I want you to try prevent cavities, but do not proactively brush your teeth. Wait till you get like some kind of issues. I want you to prevent diabetes, but don't eat a healthy diet. Eat all the sugar you can, right? So that doesn't make sense, right? When I say it that way, but that's what we're doing. So you can't solve your problems before making a decision. Being accountable and making decisions is like the only way to find solutions. That allows you to quit the job you hate, let go of past trauma, go on vacation, or even start your own podcast, like what you're doing here, right? I'm pretty sure you didn't study the entire podcast industry, figuring out what to do. What you did was you went live and said, shit, I need a mic. Damn, I need an earphone or something, right?
Yeah, so there wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot then.
And the thing is, the solutions come to you after the decision is made. People keep thinking the solutions have to be there and then you make the decision, but that's not the case. So Start Day One is a nonprofit for mental health and suicide prevention, where we have like a more proactive approach to helping people instead of reactively waiting for mental health issues or suicidal tendencies, which is what most professionals and organizations focus on. So our mission is to inspire people to change their perspectives, because that's what's really important, from waiting for one day to starting day one. If that means there's a day 2, day 3, day 4, right? Because what happens is we don't really get overwhelmed with our problems because we have so much to do or we have so much to change. We just really don't know where to start. So, people that are listening here, when you find yourself complaining or making excuses in your own pursuit of fulfillment, it's not because it's impossible. You just haven't decided to do it yet. So, and that's what we're trying to promote with Start Day One. That's what we're doing to kind of change the global perspective on mental health, because it's all wrong.
So then, I mean, I don't know, because there's probably a lot of people who are already there. And so, the person who's already there, as opposed to the person who's still at a young and naive level where they don't know about it at all. What's kind of the difference between the two, and how you'd approach them both?
I'll ask you this. When you get cavities, do you decide to stop brushing your teeth?
I may as well just stop. Yeah, just fucking give up.
You just stop brushing your teeth when you get cavities, or you probably recommend to keep brushing your teeth.
Yeah,
right?
Keep brushing your teeth.
Right.
Keep brushing your teeth.
Diabetes?
Floss.
How about diabetes? I'm not against insulin, the same way I'm not against antidepressants. But should you stop eating sugar?
Yes, you should stop eating sugar.
Right. So it doesn't really matter when you're already there. Well, what's the cause? If you're still doing that, what do you think the result's going to be? Everyone's trying to remedy the result every time. Oh, you got to do yoga, Rusty. Shit, it's good for you.
Dude, I've been doing yoga the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's one of the things. Feels good. Not against it. But if you haven't forgiven your dad, you're going to need a lot of yoga, buddy.
Yep.
So what
You're
I'm
right.
saying is you need to look at the cause of things. Yeah, it's already too late for you. I'm not the guy for that. Then look for a professional for that. I'm talking about prevention. How do you prevent it? And the thing is, if you're already there, well, how do you prevent it from to keep happening? Again, cause is a verb. What is happening for diabetes? Well, you keep freaking eating too much sugar, dude. You just not exercising. Like, I mean, should you stop
Yep.
exercising? And what the problem what people have is people think things are permanent. Oh, I'm depressed. I want to be happy. And all of a sudden they're not happy anymore. Oh, there's a problem. I have depression still. It's an emotion. You're trying to get rid of it. That's odd because the only reason you have that emotion is because it's responding to your perspective. What was the perspective? What was happening? What were you doing? And that's what creates that result. But you're thinking that's the cause? That's insanity.
Yeah. And it keeps people doing the same thing. I mean, especially because it gives you that short-term pleasure, short-term bit of happiness,
Well,
but then you just kind of was searching for that.
it's not that it's a short term for happiness. Happiness is temporary. The same way success is temporary. Hey, Rusty, good job. You lost all the weight. You can eat like shit again. Yeah, you got like you're not
Right.
finally, I'm in shape forever. And that's what people think. Oh, I'm just not happy. Like, no, it's something that keeps happening. It's just a response because you did something. This is what's happening. So you're happy. And you have to maintain that. That's why I say fulfillment, not happiness. Happiness is very temporary. Fulfillment is a cumulative of everything. Running the marathon, the winning is great, but it sucks training for it. But it's very fulfilling when you finish it, right? So everything
Oh,
else that you
I,
do,
I can
diet, all that
imagine.
stuff. Yeah, diet, all that stuff. Oh my God, I lost the weight. Are you done? That's what goals do. It's very finite. It's very set. It's like, well, because you lack the purpose. That's why you can't keep on going. So, I mean, there's so many things that we're just kind of doing wrong. And everything that I talk about is something that I hopefully it's just common sense, but it's just that people are being taught the wrong way every time. All the problems that, not all the problems, but a lot of the problems that we see today is based on that. Everyone's always looking for the results and trying to remedy the results rather than the cause. And so obviously, if the cause is still there, it's going to keep happening. You can remedy the result all day long. It's like having a freaking leak and I'm going to get the carpet 2000 because this one prevents it from it dries so fast. Like, dude, it's just get a piece of gum and plug the hole, bro. Like you didn't even have to buy the carpet 2000. Like look for the cause because that's what it is. And a lot of times it's like that's what people are doing. You're kicking your own ass. Like what's the cause of that? Like, well,
Yeah.
it's you. You're doing it. And we're not holding people accountable for it.
And so then I mean who is held accountable for it? Who can't
There's
like
only
is a
one
good thing to be
person.
held accountable for it?
There's
And
only one person to hold accountable for it. What do you mean?
well, I mean, there you go. That's who's gonna that's who you
Like,
can hold accountable. And I mean, it's easy to say, hey, someone else is accountable for what I'm doing, but nope.
it's always you.
Yeah, always
Always.
has been,
It's
always
therapists
will be.
like don't help you. The books, you don't eat books so that you're healthy. Like it just shifts your perspectives and you do it. And that's the problem, right? And that's why when people talk about like mental health and they talk about the stigma, it's just like, what do you mean? Like what do you think about that whole thing? About getting rid of the stigma and mental health and all that stuff. Like how do you feel about that?
By conversation, lots of conversation. I'm all for that. I
No.
mean,
Like what do you think it is? Like what do you think about it? Like people are saying like we need to get rid of the stigma on mental health. Like what do you think that mean?
but yeah, I think that's wrong. I think that it's again, like what you were saying, it's not getting down to why that's happening. It's just getting rid of it. Like it's not, it's more like allowing it to happen. Like when it's like, yeah, it's probably, we should probably be looking for a different solution of how do we make it so it's not a thing? In, in the simplest way to explain that, but yeah, I mean, just not getting to be the point of any of it. Like, it's just make it so it's not a thing, not, or something that's, how do we make it less for a lot of people, as opposed to, yeah, like
Well, I
just
guess,
having it, yeah.
yeah, where I was trying to go with the stigma thing, I think people have gotten, sometimes they take it the wrong way. The whole idea with the whole stigma was to get people to reach out for help. That was really the goal, right? Hey, let's calm down. But we're in this, I call the coddle culture, because
Sure.
we don't want Rusty feeling bad. So hey, everyone be nice to him. He's got depression. So everyone, make sure you're nice. Make sure that he feels good enough to reach out to us, right? And it's just like, that's not how it works. So take away the conversation about stigma. What is the best way for me to help Rusty with his depression? Is it to focus on himself, or to focus on how other people, or how he feels other people are looking at him? Like, or actually, how other people are looking at him? Like, it's going to be you. Like, I have to focus on you, not how people are talking to you, because that doesn't fix anything. Like, how, and all of a sudden someone yells at you, well, I'm messed up. I have to change the world before you can feel better. That's insane. Like, let's work on you, because that's where the problem is anyway. That is the cause. Is because you don't feel like you're comfortable enough to reach out for help. That's not everyone's problem. That's your problem. You're assuming these things. What have you tried? What are you doing? It's because you're not trying. The problem is we keep taking away accountability. And when you take away accountability, you're fucking taking away hope too. Because I just told Rusty over here, oh, there's nothing you can do about it. It's called a mental illness. It's permanent. That's what you're being told. Gee, I wonder how that's going to make someone feel. Oh, there's nothing I could do about it? Well, okay, well, I'm shot. I'm done. There's no cure. Oh, but we have this pill. Take this, because they made the freaking result the cause. So, well, that sucks. But if we had said, like, well, Rusty, what's happening? Well, because my dad, they said, okay, your dad's not here. Like, what's happening? Dude? Like, we need to talk to me. Like, what's happening? That's what we really need to figure out. Like, so all these things that we're doing is just all wrong. It doesn't make any sense. And so our theories, our philosophies are all messed up. So our perspectives are all off. And when your perspective is off, obviously the decisions follow your perspectives. You're going to do everything freaking wrong. So all these people that are feeling lost, like, well, dude, first question, where the fuck are you going? Where are you going? You don't know? So, gee, of course you're lost. I want you to drive somewhere. And then when you're lost, just keep driving. I wonder what's going to happen. You're just going to magically find your way? No. Right? And then I ask people, hey, Rusty, what happens when you get lost when you're driving? What do you do?
Stop, pull over, and
take your fucking time, figure it out. Pull over. If you have a map, look at that. People will say, like, oh, look at my GPS. Yeah, that's great. If there's a destination on there, it's just a map with no destination. Like, well, it's just a GPS. You just know where you are, but that's all you're focusing on. You need to focus on where you're trying to go. And that's what's the most important. Because if you don't know that, it doesn't matter where the fuck you've been. If you don't know where you're going, like, well, who cares where you've been? Who cares? Left, right, backwards, it all doesn't make sense. So like you said, pull over, sit down, really think about where you're trying to go. So obviously, people, I'm talking about metaphorically here, about your life. Take the time, figure out where the hell you're going. And then from there, if you, just like in the real world, if you can ask for help, for directions, then ask for help. That means talking to people, friends, mentors, to figure out where you're trying to go. Now you know where to go. Sometimes what happens is like, shit, I missed the turn 5 years ago. Yep, it sucks. But at least now you know where to go. It's just going to take you a lot longer to get there. The same way in the real world, you missed the turn. Well, it's going to take you longer, but at least you know where the hell you're going. Do you just not go there anymore? And that's where purpose comes in. If you don't have a purpose for going there, well, you're just going to turn around and do nothing. You're just going to stay lost. Well, because you have zero purpose. So that's what keeps you driving, right? That gives you that perseverance. So that's what really keeps you driving. It's the drive, right, that keeps you going. So, but until you have that, you keep doing it. And then, there's going to be obstacles. There's going to be traffic accidents. That happens in your life. Are you not going to get there anymore? Like, well, does it matter? You got to figure out a turn, right? Well, road's blocked. Do you go like, well, guess I'm not going to make my destination? Or do you go like, I think there's this U-turn here. It's going to take a lot longer again. But that's what you do, right? If you're trying to get to your destination. And so, that's where people have to really understand like these simple, things that we're being taught incorrectly, so you really need to focus on perspectives, and that's what we really need to change. But beyond that, we need to teach people how to create their purpose. You don't find your purpose, you create them.
You got to find your special purpose, like Navin R. Johnson.
So it's not one purpose. There's a purpose for so many things. Purpose as a father, a dad, purpose as an employee, purpose as a podcaster, but the thing is, you have to figure out what is your purpose. So there's a big difference. People don't understand this. You have to create a purpose. Sometimes people know this, but they don't know how to create a purpose. And now it's being taught. There's two major characteristics that I've learned for a purpose. Number one, it must be a verb. And I think that's why a cause is also a purpose. The cause for your nonprofit, it has to be a verb, right? And number two, it's supposed to benefit other people and provide value to other people, not yourself. That's a true purpose. Automatically, just by saying that, when you try to figure out your purpose, you'll realize that has zero focus on yourself. So it doesn't matter how many likes you're getting. So let's talk about Rusty's purpose here. Hopefully his purpose with this podcast is to help people with the stories from the guests that he has and the content that we have that could potentially just help other people's and change their perspectives. So does it matter if he's got one person listening or 10,000? The purpose remains, right? Doesn't matter how many people are on here. Because if he's intent on that purpose, then he doesn't even care about how many likes. The purpose is to help someone. If there's 5 people on here, great. If someone walks out here and says like, I don't feel like committing suicide anymore, awesome. That's purpose. And to help you understand even more the difference is like rock stars, right? Why did they end up committing suicide? People always say like, oh my God, like he had money and fame. How come they're committing suicide? Well, first of all, you're the one who said money doesn't buy happiness, but then all of a sudden, because they have that, they're not allowed to be depressed. So that's one. Two, it's because they're what they were trying to do was just a goal. So just to give you the difference, purpose isn't to be a rock star. That's a noun, not a verb. A rock star is a noun. And guess what happens when they reach it? Well, now what? You're a rock star. Now what? It stopped, right? You're a rock star. They're lost because they have zero purpose. They have no idea what to do. If a rock star's purpose or a musician's purpose was to empower people with their songs based on their experiences and hopefully helps them out with their lives, when does that stop? When they're super rich? When they're super, super, super rich? Or when they just not even rich at all? It starts, you can fulfill that purpose from any level, right? And that's the difference. Even when you become a rock star, you can still fulfill that purpose, even afterwards. Purpose doesn't give a shit about pain or pleasure. It just keeps on going straight ahead. And it's providing value to other people. So you don't care how many likes you're getting. You don't care everything that's happening in your life because it has nothing to do with you. So your purpose as a dad has nothing to do with, oh, I feel great or this. Obviously, you should take care of yourself, but that's just in line with your purpose. If you're not taking care of yourself, how are you going to fulfill helping your kids or being the best musician and all this stuff? So those come automatically.
Are you a musician?
Hmm?
Are you a musician?
Nah. Wish. Oh, I'd be freaking, I can air guitar like a motherfucker now.
Okay. What do you air guitar?
I don't know anything I listen to. I mean, definitely not with it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know what any new songs anymore. It's hard, man. It's hard with that. Where where are people going to find your nonprofit, and how are they going to get a hold of you, contact you, and do everything else?
Yeah, you can check out startday1.org. So that's the nonprofit that we have. All the information on there. Always trying to raise funds, and we, just getting back into it again, trying to make sure that we're spreading basically the knowledge that we have to change people's perspectives on it. You can reach me personally at R Zulu Jr. or JR. All my handles is that. But yeah.
Okay. And you said, okay, I think I have all your stuff, your
Yeah.
information for that. So I will get
Nice.
that onto the internet later on today, probably at 10 o'clock. It'll be up. And yeah, like it was cool. It was cool to get to get that conversation out and change people's perspectives. It's always like it's good to get people's perspectives changed, and it's okay to change them at whatever age you are. If you're, it's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with changing your
Well,
perspective
you kind of
and
have
being
to.
open to it. Yeah,
Kind of have to.
you
Look
don't
at.
have to. You should. You should.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. You
you
if
know,
in reality there's a you can I mean you can do whatever you want, but that's what you
yeah,
should be doing. That seems like
yeah.
it's
As far as
and
mental health goes,
right.
So,
Yeah.
but
Uh
oh, you say something?
I don't know, man.
Oh,
It's all right. Go for it.
yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, there's really steps because what I did was, when we talk about everything, we always say we're a product of our decisions, right? So you have to reverse engineer how we end up with our decisions. And that's why I keep talking about perspectives, because by shifting your perspectives, I know your decisions are going to follow. So there's a big shift that has to happen. Inspiration typically is what does it. Trauma is the reverse of it, right? That's the negative effect, and inspiration obviously is the positive. And look at every freaking guru that that Anthony Robbins, anyone. All they did was change their perspective. That was it. They didn't. When you read their books, it's not because you ate their book and you feel good, right? All it does is shift your perspectives. That's it. I'm talking everyone. There's nothing else that changes other than that. And then everything else will follow. The decisions will follow your perspectives. And that's why I always say that. So inspiration is what really helps change your perspectives. Right now, what we're doing, hopefully this changes people's perspective by people listening in, right? That's what inspiration is. Inspiration is not something forced. Inspiration comes before the perspective shift,
Yeah.
and
And
then motivations after the decision. What's that?
and the people who are ready to listen to it will listen to it. And when the uh when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, kind of a thing. Like if you're listening right now, like or maybe someone tells you to listen now. Like whenever you're listening now is when you're listening, and
Yeah,
they're either going to be there or they're not.
yeah, it's not a timing thing. It's just an exposure thing. You don't force yourself to be inspired. It's more motivation. And there's a big difference. Inspiration is exposure to it. Like, as people are listening, they didn't know I was going to be talking. They didn't know I was going to mention all these things. And hopefully it's inspiring to them and it changes them. They don't know that's what inspiration is. It's very like, it's kind of, what's the word? It's not direct. Motivation is direct. Rusty, come on, 10 more push-ups. Let's go. But if I try to do that, you ever break up with someone and try to motivate you? They're annoying as hell. Why? I'm trying to help you. Why are they annoying? Well, that's because you haven't shifted your perspective yet. You still think the world's going to end. It's over. And you just can't see a different future. And someone's going like, come on, man, Rusty, let's go out. Let's go. Let's party. And you're just like, dude, no. But even though it's probably good for you. But once I shift your perspective and said like, hey, Rusty, like, seems like you're kind of inside a lot. Like, not even hanging out. How's that affecting you? Isn't that kind of making it worse? You're gonna go like, yeah. Well, what do you think? Maybe like you want to go out, get some air or something? Just 15 minutes probably would help you out, right? You're gonna go, yeah, probably would. All right, let's fuck it. Let's go get dressed. Let's sit. Then I can motivate you once you make the decision to go. But until then, I have to inspire you to hopefully change your perspective, and then you can make that decision. And that's what we all need to do. So, right? We all know this. It's annoying when people tell us what to do. Always.
Right.
It's annoying. It has to come from you. And
Yeah.
that's why accountability is very important. Like you have to know that they have to know that they're the ones that are responsible and accountable for their happiness, success, all that stuff. Again, but those are all temporary stuff. But these are the things you need to do,
Yeah, like cigarettes and stopping smoking cigarettes. Like when people call me up and they say, I want to stop smoking cigarettes, I say, do you?
Mm-hmm.
One, I don't
Right.
like doing these. I don't like, or is it someone else that wants you to do it? And
Right.
like, and if you don't want, if like you don't really want to, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste your money because
Yeah.
it's kind of a costly thing. So I mean, if you don't really want to stop, don't do it. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
not even want to stop. No one really wants to stop. It's just that have you decided to
know that
stop?
they should. Yeah.
Or even should. They just have
That's
to
like
decide.
they want like,
Yeah.
no, it's still a want though.
Dude, it's a good time.
Yeah. It's
But
like, yeah.
did you make a decision not to though? Like, again,
Yeah.
if you shift their perspective on things and this and that, like, that's what kind of helps that out. But, but you're right. It all stems from a decision. So the reason I'm very like hardcore about that accountability thing, I'll tell you a quick story. I don't know how long your thing is. We haven't been on for an hour, right? All right, sick.
No, we're good.
So anyway, I have a clothing line, right? It's very inspirational, all this stuff. So I'm at this event talking to this couple. They leave. This dude rolls up and he says, yo, I really like what you're saying, that it all has to start with this decision. But it's not that easy, man. I go, never said it was easy. I just said that's where it starts. It's like, yeah, but I'm in rehab now and blah, 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 blah. And I said, yeah, that doesn't matter. Always starts with a decision, just a common denominator, And he's like, yeah, but, and I'm just like, holy shit. Dude, stop saying but. Now tell me, why can you make that decision? I backed up. He goes, yeah. And I was like, what is this guy doing? Like, I didn't tell him to like run a marathon or even read a book, dude. All I said is like, starts with a decision. Like, why can't you do that? But I saw what he was doing. He was looking through his database of excuses. He's going like, what else could you be thinking about? Like, he's going like this. And I'm like, it was a while. I'm going, what is he doing? And then he finally goes, you're right. You're right. I go, yeah, I know. You're welcome. Like, so you're in rehab and you haven't even decided to get better. Well, that's why. And that's what people go through, right? They didn't really decide to get better. They decided to go or forced to go, whatever it is, right? So anyway, that happens. I say this exact story at another event. Some lady, she goes, nah. She got offended almost. She's like, nah, it's different for everyone. I was like, no, it has to start with a decision. Like that's where it starts. And she goes, no, it isn't. And then leaves. I'm talking angry leave. And I'm going, why would someone be pissed off? I'm not even saying it's the cure. I'm just saying that's where it starts. And then you'll get better. So I'm trying to analyze this because that was a weird reaction. And I'm like, why would someone be that angry? Oh, freaking hit me. I was like, as soon as this lady agreed with me or any listeners here, is as soon as you have to let go of all of your excuses. But no, you want to hold on. Look, no, it was my dad. That's why I'm like this right now. No, it was this. It's because my girlfriend. No, it's because I'm poor. No, because of this. Because like, okay. And once you you hold them accountable and they agree that that you have to start with a decision, well, they can't use those excuses anymore. And that's where it starts. And so that's what we're doing to society. We're saying that, oh, it's not a decision. You can't even do anything about it. You're depressed forever, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And we focus on people with depression every time. That's like focusing on people that are poor to be rich. Like, oh, that how are you gonna how are you gonna do that? It doesn't make any sense. And what we're doing is giving them the best excuse. There's nothing you can do about it, Rusty. That feels so good because then it's like, oh, it's not me. Ah, so good. So glad. Like, God, I'll take the pills, man. I'm ready. This whole time I thought whew, and they just don't want to go through that. Anyone that's in a bad place loves excuses, hate accountability. I do it too. Every time I'm in a bad situation, bad mindset, and it happens all the time. It's not something constant. Like all these gurus they listen to, you're telling me they've never been pissed off? There's traffic? Come on. That's just inhuman. Right. You're trying to say there's no emotion anymore. Like, that is unhealthy. So, don't believe that. And I feel bad for some of these speakers. Like, I talk to them and, they have to pretend they're happy all the time. I don't. I'm real as fuck. I'm going to tell you right now that I go through that too, because I don't know. I'm human, and all I'm doing is trying to help you guys, like, to change your perspectives on things and how you get better and what I freaking think. And, one of the biggest things, like I said, that's why I keep mentioning it, is being proactive about things and looking at the cause, because those are major. If I can shift your perspective there, oh, dude, so many things will change in your mind. I've had this one person like, my God, you're right. I am taking all these things, and all it is I'm thinking about this. It's like, yeah, of course you're going to be anxious, dude. Like, that's what you're thinking about? Like, oh, well, think about something else. Well, yeah, then people will say it's not easier than that. Yeah, it's also freaking not easy to lose 500 pounds. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, but do you want to start or not? Like, when you're ready, that's when it starts, So,
right.
But the more excuses you give, dude, they love excuses when they're in a bad place. I know I do. Not my fault. Oh, awesome. That's why my business is failing. It's not me. Sweet.
You will sleep better than you have ever slept. You've never been this relaxed. Are you ready to change your life? I'm Rusty Diamond, certified hypnotist. You don't need to leave your house. You can stay in your bed. You can stay in your favorite chair.
You just need a computer or your phone.
You can get a hold of me. Stay at home. I'll make your life better.
Hypnosisisgreat.com.
Because he thinks his life sucks, but it's really his perspective on life sucks. But you think it's because people are mean to him? Like, no. Like, you can't coddle your kids the same way. And that's what happens, right? And that's why it was referred to as the coddle culture. We got to look at the future of things. Is this the best thing for the person in the future? By giving you this mindset, yeah, for the people that are listening, that are depressed and feeling like shit, yeah, this is going to suck for you, knowing that it's your responsibility. But is it the best thing for you? Yup. I don't care about how you feel about me. I care about you getting better. Like, just like a kid. Mom, I want ice cream. That's great. It'll shut them up if I give it to them. But is that the best thing for them?
Yeah.
Nope. So that's what we need to do. We got to stop doing this whole coddle culture move.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I can stop being coddly to yourself and stop being coddly to others. Just fucking get better. Get better, get on the right track. So
it's the only way it's gonna start. Like, no one's gonna do it for you, dude.
Right.
They're like, do you want to or not? I'm like, all right, okay. When you make a decision, I'm telling you, then the solutions will happen. Once you guys go like, you know what? I want to be happy. Oh, no shit. Guess what? All of a sudden, you start seeing opportunities. All of a sudden, you see happiness. All of a sudden, automatically. It has to start with a decision, though. Until then, it's like leaving a freaking relationship. I'm not saying leave tomorrow. Decide to leave tomorrow. Or right now, actually. Because once you decide to leave, all of a sudden you go, well, fuck, if I'm leaving, that means, I need to figure out what to say. I need to figure out where I'm going to stay, who I'm going to talk to, where I'm going to live. All that will start freaking accumulating. But until then, I hate my relationship. Same one? Same relationship 5 years ago that you complained about? Oh, the same one 10 years ago too? Okay. So you think 5 years from now? Got it. Like, so that's where it really starts. Like, you need to make a decision. And
Right.
you got to remember, it's not a one-time gag and all of a sudden, yay, happiness. Like, no, things are going to turn like shit too. You're going to have to keep working for it, just like losing weight. You're going to gain it back because you're getting older. So your metabolism's not as good. You might want to switch your diet a little bit, maybe cut down on that soda, like all this stuff is going to happen. And so it's a never ending thing that you do. And I actually came up with a framework to help people. So I call it the evolution framework, cycle framework, because it's a constant cycle. Because things that we do is not it's not linear, it's cyclical. It's something that keeps on working. So again, it's like that constant cause and effect. So what it stands for, the reason I call it evolution, it stands for these 4 words, starts with the letter E. It starts with envision, execute, evaluate, evolve. So basically how that works, you first need to envision. Where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? Because unless you know that, gee, what are you going to do? To compare it, because I came up with that because of my experience in a startup, that's like having a company that don't know what the hell they're going to sell or who they're going to be. How great do you think that company is going to be? They have to really figure that out. They have to really see what they're going to be so that all their things that they do follow that. And so that's all we need to be. The most important thing is to figure out your future self. So you have to envision the future version of yourself. It doesn't matter what the hell happened in the past, present, or anything. It's what you're going to do there, because that is what guides you. The past is what you need to learn from. And today is when you execute. So anyway, speaking of that, after the envision, now you know where to go, who you want to be. That's when you execute. In this startup world, the best way to learn is to execute on things. Everything that people that are depressed, oh, it's because this, and that's not going to work. And those are all assumptions. All assumptions. Did you try it? Well, you got to try it first. I don't know whose book it's going to make you. I don't know what movie you need to watch. I don't know. I have no clue. You need to execute on this stuff. You need to figure out what are the things that I can do to go towards that person I just envisioned. And so that's what happens. And then you execute. And then from there, you evaluate. Because that's the only way you learn, from the execution. You don't learn and guess. You execute and go, shit, that didn't work. But you have to also understand what you're executing on. You don't do this massive freaking thing that you're executing. I call it minimum viable behaviors, because in the startup world, they're called minimum viable products. And what you do for a minimum viable product in the startup world is create the most minimum thing that you can test out. Not a perfect site. Airbnb is not the Airbnb you saw freaking years ago. They didn't look like that. They didn't even know. It was just a freaking airbed. That's why it's called Airbnb. They were just doing like couches and all that stuff. Now it's completely different. Now there's experiences and all that stuff. So you need to evaluate all the things that you did from the execution. What worked? What didn't work? Well, I exercised, did this, did that. Well, that seems to be working. Okay, great. And so you evaluate everything that you've done. You measure, how am I sleeping? How am I feeling? All these things. You just try to evaluate from the execution that you've made. After that, you evolve. Okay. After you've learned everything and you've evaluated everything, in a startup world, they have this thing that they say, you either pivot or persevere. If it's working, you're making progress, then that means you persevere. If it's not working, then you pivot. It's still the same mission, still the same cause, what you're trying to do, but you just need to pivot differently. So to the people here that says like, oh, that doesn't work. Oh, well, you're just going to stop. So that's it. You just stop. So, but what you really need to understand is figure out based on what you learned, but you haven't learned shit because you haven't tried anything. And that's why this is very important. And then you evolve. And then once you evolve, now you envision again, because all your theories might have been wrong. Just like a startup. They didn't know this product wasn't going to work until they changed it to blue. And then all of a sudden it's selling like, awesome, sick. Should we make everything blue? Well, I don't know. We got to execute. We got to try it. Well, what do you envision? So now it keeps going back, going over and over and over. And that's how you constantly keep on growing. And that's what you need to really try to do for yourself. And that's how it works. So I don't know what's going to work out for you, but it's all these things. But the minimum viable behaviors is really important, because I'm not saying freaking lose 500 pounds. Like, dude, that's what can you do today? Maybe take a walk, 10 minutes. Don't tell me you don't have time. Like 10 minutes is not that long, but that's something you could do, right? So you really need to look at objectives, not so much the goal. The goal could be overwhelming sometimes, but what can you do? You could do 10-minute walks, you could do push-ups, you can, eat a little bit healthier. I'm not saying give up all the junk food, but like, get rid of the M&Ms, dude. Like get rid of the soda. I think you'll survive. Yeah. You'll be fine. So
hell yeah. Well, yeah, cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on and doing the show. And yeah, man. So I already got, I guess, where people can find you. So that's good. Yeah. I don't know. They probably don't. I don't know. Like, I think that's it. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for being on. And yeah, I appreciate it. And keep in touch, and we'll get you back on if you want sometime. I don't know when that would be. That would be probably close to summer, somewhere around there, like right before summer, maybe right before it becomes water park time again.
Oh.
So waiting for that. I have like a 6-month rule usually for bringing people back. Okay. So yeah, if you're down, have you back. Yeah, so cool. All right. Well, hey, we'll have a great rest of your day, and take care. All right.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. That's Ricardo Zulueta. So thank you everybody for being here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. Check me out, rustydiamond.net, hypnosisisgreat.com, popuphealing.net. You can go get a float with a hypnosis at East Coast Float Spa in Princeton, New Jersey, or Westchester, Pennsylvania. So there you go. You can do that. Just tell them you want the Rusty Diamond special. And so thank you everybody so much for being here. And that is the show, man. Boom!
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.